More on that. We turn to Philip Turle. There's all this talk that if the elections go badly for the Tories, there'll be a backbench revolt against Boris Johnson, who's been dogged by scandal, particularly surrounding Partygate. Should we be looking at specific towns and cities that could be significant?
Well, certainly to begin with, there is a fear in Tory circles that some safe seats may start to disappear. We're talking also here about central London, Wandsworth, Westminster Council. Those are very significant councils that the Tories would certainly like to hold on to. On top of that, we have a by-election coming up in another safe Tory seat, which is down in Devon, in Tiverton, following the revelations that a Tory MP was watching pornography on his mobile phone in the House of Commons. He's now resigned as a result of that. That's another threat to Boris Johnson if that seat is to go to either the Labour Party or to the Liberal Democrats. So pressure is certainly growing on the British Prime Minister to see whether he can survive what is happening at the moment in the UK with these local council elections. Just to give you an idea, the polls suggest that the Tories could lose, the Conservatives could lose 550 seats, and Labour could gain up to 800 seats in these elections. That's down 548 seats for the Conservatives if those polls are true. So that would be a big disappointment for the Conservative Party, and that would also, I think, give many annoyed backbenchers another reason to try to launch a leadership challenge against Boris Johnson, saying, well, look, this has gone too far. We have the Partygate situation. We have all the lying. We have the fact you've been fined for lying and misleading Parliament. That's the first time this ever happened to a British Prime Minister. And now we've had a disastrous showing in local council elections. So all of this is stacking up against Boris Johnson. So it'll be interesting to see how he manages to survive after this, if he does.
He's not gone yet. He'll go on the offensive. Can we expect him to take a harder stance on issues like we heard Belfast correspondent Hervé Amorique discuss Brexit and the Northern Ireland Protocol?
Okay, I think there are three things here that are important, Francois. The first one is that Boris Johnson has found a protective cover with the war in Ukraine. He's putting himself forward as the leader who is negotiating directly with Volodymyr Zelensky to help rebuild Ukraine and send in weapons and vast amounts of money. So he's hoping that is going to carve out an image of him as the statesman that would be very difficult to replace. On top of that, I think there is a feeling that in the country itself, in the United Kingdom, there is no real other candidate who has the stature of Boris Johnson to be able to jump in and take over from him. So that might protect him. But there is another element to this which is not so good for Boris Johnson, and that is that he was perceived as being the politician who reached parts that other politicians couldn't reach. Even if you didn't like him, it was just a whole package you bought with the bad hairdo, the bumbling, the bluster, but he was someone who was going to bring in the voters. Well, that seems to have disappeared now, and I think that is definitely a negative thing for Boris Johnson that he's certainly going to have to worry about more, especially if these elections, which it looks like they will do, are going to go badly for the Conservatives.
Are we asking the wrong question? Because you mentioned the bad hair and the gaffes, but who's to replace him?
Well, there was Richie Sunak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the Finance Minister, but he's been caught up in all the scandals himself. So many people are saying, well, within the Conservative Party itself, it's difficult now to see who would take over. It doesn't mean there will be elections. It doesn't mean the Conservatives will be out of power. But what they really want to do is to make sure they win the next elections in a couple of years' time. Boris Johnson was deemed to be the person who could do that. But if he's going to go, well, they'll still be in power for a couple of years. But will they have the necessary clout in 2 years' time to be able to win the support of the voters and win another majority in Parliament, and therefore for the Conservatives to lead the country? That is in doubt right now.
All right, polls close at 10 p.m. as well.
That's correct. Results tomorrow afternoon.